I've had quite a body of experience because my wife passed away a couple of years ago. Went through my parents passing, her parents passing, my sister, various other close family and friends. And I imagine you all have had that same experience in life. So if I don't have the answers, I'm trusting God that you have some of those answers here. But a little advance warning, I can't let you go on and tell your whole life story. We only have 3 hours, and so we got to make the best use of those. Well, my primary goal for this workshop is to make sure that you at least have some tools of preparation for this thing. You know what? Unless Jesus comes real soon, I bet a number of us are going to pass on into his presence here. And so we need to be prepared. And as I said in my little ad that I posted, you can leave your family a wonderful, loving legacy, or you can leave a horrible mess. And how many of you had a mess that you've inherited? I haven't personally, but my dear son-in-law told me that I could share a little bit about his story because when his mom died, she was a hoarder, and so she had stuff everywhere, and including valuable documents that they had to search through piles of old magazines and letters and so forth to find. And the worst one was that they couldn't find her wedding ring, and because she wasn't wearing it. Anyway, it turned out it was in an old coffee cup that was really scuzzy that they were going to dump or give to the Goodwill. And so, we want you to be prepared. We want you to have there's some things that you can do that will really make things so much easier for those who are your heirs, your family. And I'm operating under the presumption that you all love your family and that you don't want to make the next 6 months of their lives a crisis. Am I right on that? Okay. I'm glad we clarified that. Okay, here we go. Well, the first thing I want to talk about, my most important priority is to make sure that you all have a will, a trust, or something that passes on your estate. Can I just do a show of hands? How many of you have a will already or a trust? Oh, that's wonderful. And for those of you who registered probably within the last 2 days, I haven't sent them out, I think, but I've sent each of you a simple will that is something that you can adapt for your own needs. But it has some very simple outlines of what you can do. And of course, there are wonderful resources out on the internet as well. I mean, I've encountered some Christian websites that cover end-of-life issues. I've also had, Google that you can ask, and it pops up all kinds of useful information. So don't despise Google. It can be a very good help to you. So anyway, the other thing I want to ask, again, you don't have to raise your hand on this one, but if you have a will, please review it about every 5 years because life changes. Have you noticed that? My life changed, and I'm going to give you a confession here today that my wife passed 2 years ago, and I haven't updated the will. Now, it's still valid because it passes the things on to my 2 daughters, and so it's still a legal will, but I'd like to, at some point, update it. And I bet if I were to go around in this room today that many of you have the same issue. Life has changed, and your old will needs to be fixed. Now, you can, of course, revise the whole thing, but there's this thing called a codicil. Do you know what a codicil is? Who can explain that to me? What it is? Okay, Herb, what is it?
It's an add-on that usually changes things. And you have to be careful with codicils. I have personal experience where people have come in and done a codicil and added it to the will that weren't even part of a family.
Oh, no.
And they got the person who was, let's say, the elderly person to sign it. flipped it and had them sign it, and that overrode the will. So codicils are good, but be very careful of how you.
Yeah, it's just an amendment to your will. And the best thing that you can do, of course, is to, just like with your will, have it signed by 2 witnesses and also notarized. And in the packet of material that you got, on the very first page there are a couple of local notaries and resources for that. And so, yeah, thanks, Herb. That's useful information. Yeah. And the will that I have sent out to you has some real basics to it. It's as simple as it gets. But it has one element that isn't in a typical template. I have found that end of lifetime is a great time to express your faith, to pass on some things to the next generation. So in my will, I have a thing. Let me switch over here and see if I can grab this, because I think it's a good thing to do, like a statement of faith. And I've seen this in more than one Christian will template. Mine says, I commit my soul to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, having peace with God through faith in Him, who gave Himself for my sins. Above all else, I entreat my heirs and all others to receive and maintain this same assurance, desiring that they too may obtain in Christ the only inheritance which can never perish, spoil, or fade away. Is that good? That is in the sample will that I sent you all. So you may want to revise yours and add something like that. Of course, you can create your own, but yeah, it's a good thing to do something like that to pass it on. So, all right, let me get back to my original.
You said that you sent it to us. If we signed up, did you send it, or?
Is it in the paper here?
In the paper?
It's not in the papers. There are other things that we'll get to, but the sample will is not there, because I want you to, if you don't have one, I want you to create your own version of that, put your own information in, and it's real simple to fix and print out, and then you've got it. So, but again, it needs to be witnessed and notarized to be really legal. I mean, obviously there are people who handwrite their wills, and those can stand up legally. The problem is that you usually wind up in probate if you have any resources at all. And probate in this class is a bad word. Why is it a bad word? It costs you lots of money that you could be using for kingdom business instead of paying the state of Texas. Now, I love the state of Texas and I want them to prosper, but they don't need this extra money just because I haven't been smart. So, yeah. And so the one that I've sent out, it has you name an executor and name, you can include a list of property items, but you don't need to. It just generally talks about the residue of your estate, and of course it also delineates the power of your executor, and that's one of the things. In my will, my wife was designated, and I was designated as her executor, but now that she's not here, that has to go to my daughters. And I have 2 daughters. One is a real professional businesswoman, and so I've assigned the financial decisions that need to be made to her. My other daughter is a social worker and real strong believer, and so other things that involve medical kind of things, guess who I assigned that to? So, there are just things like that you'll have to assess based on your own family, who you want to do these things. Okay, so we talked that it is possible to change it. You don't have to revise the whole will. You can do a codicil, but again, it's so much better if it's all legally done. And you know, if you have significant property, investments, or valuables, and you don't leave a will, guess what? That bad word, what's the bad word? Probate. Yeah. And you don't want to do that. It just means that it gets tied up sometimes for months, years. Have any of you wound up in probate? Yeah, I was talking to Jan, her sister, last night about that. And your dad, you know, he didn't leave a will at all, did he?
You know what? Don't come jam this yet. I've got some issues I have to work out. I found it in some paperwork. He had a lot of that, and it's just taking me that long. I still have more paperwork to do.
Oh, yeah. It can be such a nightmare, and you don't want that. You want everything to be up in order. And I was so thankful when Sandy passed away that, you know, our names were on all of our important documents, all accounts and so forth. I'm not. Have I done have I done something wrong?
This one is having a problem.
Oh, okay. We don't want that. Okay. So,
You mentioned that with another thing, is you need to let your family know where these documents are.
oh yeah, I'm going to get into that, Charlotte.
Brought it up.
Yeah. So I went out on the internet to find out, when does Texas require probate? And so I'm going to read to you what I found online. It says, first of all, real estate. Homes or land held in the deceased's name alone must pass through probate for clear title transfer to the heirs. So if you own a piece of property and your husband or wife's name or your heir is not on that piece of property, it's going to probate.
Even if you have a will?
Even if you have a will.
Are you familiar with the ladybird deed?
Yes, I just learned about it actually from, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what's called transfer on death, I think. And that's a much simpler way to do it. It's
That doesn't go through a probate.
It doesn't go, yeah, you're right. And so it's just something that the state of Texas, I believe, has initiated to make it easier for people. And it's you have to go to the courthouse, I believe, and get a document, and I think they charge $20 or something like that for it. But you know, it immediately transfers. Like in the case of Jan Hancock, she's a single lady, but her property will transfer to her son with that Ladybird deed. And so anyway, thank you, Ladybird. So yeah, it's called a transfer on death form. So write that down, because that could be very useful to you. And in terms of personal property, if you've got a lot of expensive jewelry or stuff like that, or maybe furniture that's very valuable, that kind of stuff, you know, that also can wind you up in probate.
Scott, just simply anything that has a beneficiary, like life insurance or clean bank accounts or something, they don't have to go to probate. They don't go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right.
Beneficiary bypasses that.
Yes, that's right. So that's a big help. Also, yeah, financial accounts, if you've got stocks and bonds and bank accounts and so forth, that's one thing we did with that. I realized that I needed to add my daughter to financial accounts. That doesn't mean that she sees them or anything like that, but it means that if I pass from this life, it goes to her, and I probably should put both of my daughters on now that Sandy's gone. So anyway, and there's another form, well, one's called payable on death, and that's again, it's more for, I think, personal property, jewelry and such, but the transfer on death is the Ladybird file is the one you want. And then another one that can get people into probate is if you have a business and you may not have put your spouse or your kids on any of those documents, but you need to look into that as a possibility of something that you need to work on. So, and what's the best policy if you have a larger estate? I'm assuming there are lots of rich people in this group here today.
Yep.
Yeah.
Trust.
Rich in heavenly resources anyway. Yeah, but anyone have an answer for that?
Trust.
A trust, and I'm not going to have people raise their hand because that may identify them as the rich people, but my brother has a trust, and he is a rich guy. I mean, he's amazing to me because he didn't graduate from high school, and he joined the Navy and so forth, but he worked himself up in the military, and then post that, now he's a wealthy man. And so he has a trust, and he told me that it cost him about $5,000 to set it up. But it just erases so many of the potential legal problems that you could have with dispersing those things. You know, one of the things he's a coin collector. He has thousands and thousands of dollars in coins. Well, the kids could have at it with that. He has 3 daughters, and they have a okay relationship, but not. But sometimes when money is involved, things can get ugly. Have you noticed that? And so, yeah, he's had to set up a trust that really simplifies everything. And so if you have a lot of resources, go for it. If you don't, I don't think you need to bother with that, but your choice.
Question, Scott.
Yes?
Back to the will. If you had a lawyer do your will, do you have to have it notarized?
I don't think so. I think the lawyers,
They always have.
they all,
Lawyer will do it.
the lawyer will do it.
In law.
Okay. We have an expert right here. Okay. Yeah, so, yeah, setting up a trust is like this was something I learned, again, because I didn't have any idea I'd be doing this, but you can have either a revocable, which is a living trust that is created where you can disperse assets while you're alive, or you can have an irrevocable trust, which is one where it disperses the assets after you die. And anyway, it's a good thing to have if you're at all concerned that you have too big an estate or there's problems with the kids or whatever. Okay. Now I'm gonna switch gears here a little bit because I want to ask you, what are some of the things that you can, or rather cannot do, or rather not do, if you want to make things really difficult for your heirs? Let's look at it from a reverse standpoint. What's the first thing that you can not do?
No will.
No will! I like that answer. Yes. Oh.
Hide all your stuff.
Exactly. Hide all your stuff. First of all, yeah, I mean, my kids in Idaho experienced that. You know, they didn't even know that there was a safe deposit box because there was no indication of that. There was of course, there was no key for the safe deposit box for them to get into it and stuff like that. Oh, yeah.
Start hoarding.
Start hoarding. Yes.
Collect little things.
I had a lady come to my garage sale and she was buying everything. And I said, oh, do you have a little shop or something? She said, oh no, this is going all in my attic. My kids will deal with it when that day comes. It's not good.
That's just cruel.
Like, that's why I'm getting rid of all my stuff. So my kids don't have to go through it. Well, I'm taking his stuff all by.
That's cruel.
Stuff in your attic.
Well, another thing that you can not do is you can not leave them any instruction about your funeral wishes. Do you want to be buried? Do you want to be cremated? You know, where do you want to be buried? What do you want said on your headstone? What, all kinds of things like that, that if you don't leave them any instruction, guess what? They can throw you in a cardboard box and bury you in the backyard, I guess. Don't let them do that, okay?
Like we're going to be in a position to stop them.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, so if you don't give instruction, guess what? They can do what they want. Now I'm going to tell you the really, okay, yeah, Charlie?
There's another reason to have all of this. I had a niece that every time one of our relatives died, you know, we're all older, so we didn't have all the paperwork. She claimed that every one of our relatives promised her their assets when they died.
Oh,
I
yeah.
went to every funeral claiming everything.
Yeah, there are things like that that happen. And
Be specific.
yeah, so be specific. And we're going to get into some of that in a bit here. I have some other ideas for you that I'll show you. But I have one really big one that none of you have mentioned yet. What's something that's really awful, horrible, terrible that you can do to your kids and your heirs?
Leave them dead. Leave them out.
Don't have anything to leave.
Well,
Are you going to leave them out of the will?
yeah, I suppose that's true. But what I'm thinking of is what has changed over the last 20, 30 years in our culture?
Password.
Passwords! Denise has it. Give that woman a prize. Yes. Oh my, this is one of those in this day and age. Even if you're not a big computer user, most of us have access to our bank accounts online now, credit cards, all kinds of things. Yes?
Subscriptions go along with that. If they don't know all the subscriptions, because the subscriptions will keep hitting the account
Yes.
before you can do anything.
Exactly, yeah, that's another thing. Subscriptions, yes, passwords is huge. Yes?
Just throw something out there. My son, who was a manager of the Verizon for many years, he said, don't have the phone cut off immediately.
Yes.
Wait.
Wait.
So many codes come through to get into certain accounts that have to come to that phone number. That would make life so much easier. Just wait.
Oh, yeah. And the other thing that people do is each of us to get into our phone, what do we have to do? 4-digit number. And if we don't tell the kids what the numbers are, they'll keep, it just becomes a mess. It really does. Okay. Speak up so we can hear.
I don't know if I can talk about it. My sister told me about a book that she bought online, and it's called I'm Dead, What Now? And she said it has pages where it outlined that you would put in all your passwords, you would put in where everything is, and all of that.
Well, what I want to recommend to you is something my son-in-law told me. He said, Dad, you already have probably 15, 20 accounts that are online of various kinds. Magazine subscriptions is one, and on and on. And he said, there are software packages out there now that are they're encrypted, they're very secure. And so he connected me with one called 1Password. And there's another one called Keeper that's even more highly rated than 1Pass. Those are the two top ones in the industry. And it is so easy to manage all of your passwords because what you do is you have one very lengthy, tough password that manages the account. And then once you're in there, you can get into everything. It'll show you what you're for even the smallest account that you don't use that often, but sometimes those are the ones that you forget.
What does it cost?
I think I pay about $60 a year, so it's like $5 a month. And believe me, it is worth it. So 1Password, I highly recommend. Keeper, I don't know.
Okay, so on an iPhone, how would you get in the phone if you use use your face to get, your facial recognition to get into it.
You have a secondary. Dig up Paul.
Help me on this one because this is relatively new. David, what do you say?
Yeah, your iPhone is going to have a PIN number and your Face ID. When you turn your phone on, it asks for the PIN ID the first time, right? Even though you have a
No, I'm an
face?
Android.
Oh, you're on
So
Android.
this is a difficulty we have
Okay.
with Herbie's phone.
Yeah, on iPhone, it's going to always ask for a PIN and then a face.
Okay.
And on Android, I don't know, I would think there's probably a...
So you put the
setting.
pin in, but you don't have the face, where are you gonna go from there?
But you use
No,
the
the
pin.
pin
Our
takes
pin
the
is
place of
either
the
or.
face. Yeah, it's an
Yeah.
either or.
But there are certain programs that only let you do
Jana?
that.
If it'll come up and say, put in the.
Don't do Facebook.
I didn't hear you.
I have an Android and I use my fingerprint, but if I don't want to use my fingerprint, I just swipe down and it comes up with, you know, the password.
It'll say, put in your.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, go ahead,
It's
Keith.
got another password manager. The one I use is called RoboForm.
RoboForm,
And
okay.
it is $30 a year.
Oh, wow.
And it's unlimited devices. So, for example, we have it on all of our PCs and phones, and it syncs. So when you change a password, it synchronizes to all the devices.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
That's just another one.
All right. Many resources.
If you do have an Android and you're writing down a PIN number in your log, some Androids have a swipe for their PIN, so you've got to be careful about writing it down carefully. And as far as password synchronization, I just use Chrome and Chrome across mobile and desktop, and Safari does this too if you have all Mac. It'll sync your passwords, and that's free. You can turn the password manager on, it'll save your password, and you can get into those passwords. With Chrome, you just go passwords.google.com and you can look up any of your passwords.
Oh, good.
And another thing with the passwords, like I have over literally 1,000 passwords in there, so it's not just good enough to save passwords. If I'm going to make a list and say to somebody, oh, here's all my passwords, that doesn't help them really because it's too many. I've got to write down maybe the accounts that are really critical, like the financial accounts, and say, these are the things you
Most of us don't have 1,000 passwords, David. Sue?
Does RoboForm or 1Password go through Google?
No, they're independent.
They're independent, yeah.
They're independent of any Google or Apple or, yeah, they're independent standalone program.
Thank you.
Believe me, their whole thing is about security. They you know, they're holding valuable information in their vaults, and so they have a high level of security, yeah.
Scott, backing up just thing on what things foul up your kids.
Yes?
If you have a safety deposit box, or if you're in some situation fortunate enough to have a safe,
Yeah?
somehow you need to, I would think, ways for them to be able to access that.
the
Yeah.
bank will take care of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if they have a POD, payable upon death, and that will tell you who has access to that. They have a key, anyway.
Okay, good. Good to know this stuff.
We didn't hear, what is POD?
Payable on death. It's a form that you get from the state that, you know, it just says this person gets my whatever, you know, your piece of property or your car or whatever it is.
You don't have to get it from the state, the bank just.
The
does
banks have it.
The person who's accounted.
But the TOD, you have to get the transfer on death, and that's more related to property, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, good. Good. Yeah. Yeah. So another thing I wanted to mention, and I'm going to show you an example that I did for my kids, but is the idea of all of us have property, items that maybe you got inherited from grandma or something like that, or has some special meaning, or it may have valuable that they don't know. I'll give you a couple of examples. One is my dear wife she inherited from her grandmother a china tea set. She was a Scottish lady and had her tea every day. Well, Sandy never used that, but she treasured it, and now I have it. And I've written it down where it is so the kids can see it, but they may decide to just dump it. But I wanted them to at least know where it came from. It wasn't from an estate sale in Hideaway where I live. It was a family heirloom. And the other thing I have is in the living room, I have this kind of a trifold thing that is a mother of pearl piece that a lot of our military guys got when they were serving in World War II because they were from Asia. And so I didn't know the value of it, but I went online. Etsy told me that it's worth about $200. So, I mean, they can dump it, if they want, but I wanted them to know that it has value and that it came from their grandfather who served in World War II in the Philippines. So, those are the kind of things that you can do to bless your kids. I mean, remember the old concept, we want to bless them. We don't want to leave a mess for them. So, yeah, Denise?
My grandmother left me a china cabinet full of different things, and she put that old white medical tape on the bottom of them, and her note would be like, from Mrs. Clayton, 1918. She wrote that on there. It was really nice to have that, that
Wow.
she gave credit to the one that gave it to her, and we're.
Did you put that with your will, the things you're talking about, the list of the valuable things?
I have, I'm going to go over this with you. See this little black binder here? This is my end of life book, end of this life. And I have all kinds of things. I'm going to go over that with you, but we're going to take a break after a while here. But it has all that useful thing that I think it's going to be the most practical part of this morning's teaching here. So, yeah. One of the things as I said, I've got to still do is to make sure the kids are on these valuable, the car title, the house title, and so forth. If I want to, or do the transfer on death piece, because I haven't done that yet. Before it was all easy. It really, when Sandy passed away, because everything was in both of our names, it passed really easy. But now things are a little more complicated, and so I've got to figure that out. And people who are single, that can be a challenge too. You've got to make sure that you have all that paperwork assigned. So, yeah, and it's so important that you identify where things are. I had a meeting with my kids at one point. This was even before Sandy passed away, and I showed them where I keep this book. I gave them all kinds of other information about finances. Some of us first of all, we don't even want to talk about our own possibility of death. It's like that's a taboo subject. Well, we're breaking that here today. We're because it's going to happen to us, and we need to be prepared. But I also wanted to make sure they had the tools they needed to make it easy for them. And so please don't leave a mess. Please. Yeah, I think, I understand. There's cases where you have kids who would, if they had the chance, they'd steal all your money and maybe use it for drugs or whatever else. So you use wisdom, of course, but most of us have kids that we could trust with important information like that about where our financial records are and so forth for the time when they may need it. And so, okay. Any questions at this point on the stuff we've gone over? Yeah, Brad?
Just a clarification, that transfer on death, that's exactly the same as the term right of survivorship. There's no difference.
Oh, really?
I'm asking.
I don't know. I just heard about this from Jan yesterday, and so.
Yeah, like he was talking about the forms, like on your car, your house, he's using the word transfer on death. I've always heard the term right of survivorship. I just want to make sure there's no difference.
Do you know the answer, Joan? Okay.
No. The ladybird thing, the right of survivorship is what probate comes up with.
Okay.
You put this on your things and it never goes to probate. It doesn't even have to be in a will. As long as your house title, your car title, anything like that, if you've got a right of survivorship with your kid's name on it, you don't even need a will, it just goes.
Yeah, we have that at least, yeah, that's it. When I bought in there, I signed that with my son.
And if you put one, then it goes to one. If you put two, it divides in half, three, that's where it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
We put all three of their names on it.
That's good.
33%. Somebody gets a percent, the government gets a percent.
Suzanne, you had a question?
Sometimes on Facebook, I see these ads for, don't leave a will, it comes out to go to probate, but do a trust. Now, I didn't want to take time to read all that legal stuff, but it seemed to infer that a trust is much safer than merely a will.
It is, if there are a lot of resources involved. So if you're a humble YWAMer like I am, then you don't have millions stashed away. But if you're a wealthy person, I'm sure there are quite a few here, that no, you would need a trust. Trust will protect your assets, and it'll make it go so much smoother, and it will eliminate a lot of taxes. That's why a lot of people do trusts, because if you don't, they can come for you.
So I know you think wealth is like in the millions, but you have like $50,000 or $75,000.
I think that's fine. I wouldn't do a trust for but if you were in the hundreds of thousands somewhere, and sometimes people don't realize what they're sitting on. They may have a house that they bought for $50,000 years ago, and now it's worth $500,000. So that can change things, of course. Yes.
Someone might speak to this better than I, but we don't live in a trust that's not like an and or, this or that. I mean, like our wills have the directions for a trust, that the executives do. So, in other words, it's not either or. A will just describes everything you want done. Trust is only with the financial or the plan for the only stuff.
Yeah.
Another thing, learned through Hard Knocks, is when you see an attorney, whether it's to do your will or for advice, or anything to do with an attorney, you walk in the door, make sure you understand how the billing will be. Okay?
Yeah.
Is it just a set, for your will, is it a set amount? That's great, because then you know what to do with it. But others, they'll start charging you by the minute.
Wow.
By the minute. I was sent to an attorney that I knew. I mean, our kids had played together, and so we sat there for 30 minutes, chit-chatting and everything. And I said, well, thank you very much. I walked out, and I had a big bill, and he charged by the minute.
Ouch.
Not much of a friend anymore.
Yeah. Oh my. Yeah, Charlotte?
And, I had a situation where I talked to our attorney, and they already had, and was discussing possibly doing something. And I got a bill for that, and then a bill for the do something.
Oh yeah, they'll find a way.
And I just add to the negative thing I hate to say is that you will appreciate this as an editor. When they are lawyers writing up your stuff, they should be editing and it should be perfect.
Yes.
But I'm gonna tell you right now, that is not the case at all. I have had whole lines, whole names, literally, they were having to redo, and charging me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I found in their mistakes, so
Oh my. Yeah, it can be a nightmare. Yeah. Oh my. Yeah. Okay. Well, okay, David.
If you have a small business or if you had a nonprofit, should you put, you might not control the nonprofit if you're dead, right? But maybe that should be in the will too. Like what you hope happens with it.
Why not?
Okay.
I don't know. I gave you a disclaimer right at the beginning of this. I'm no expert on these things, but in this room, there are a lot of experts on stuff. So, throw the question out. Okay. Yeah, Herb.
Just a personal experience when you're setting things up. My mom was the last to pass with my parents. There's a house involved. Two of my brothers who were on that account, they got taken off when they passed. So it left my sister and I when my mom passed. We decided, rather than go through all the steps, is to put it in our names. So before she passed, the property was transferred into our names. Boom, 5 years. And my sister finally was ready to start talking about it yesterday.
Oh, wow.
After 5 years of refusing to even talk about, and I can't make a move because she's half woman.
No.
And I just say that, not to throw my laundry out there, but to say no matter what you do has potential consequences, and you just don't know really deep what your kids are thinking.
Yeah, it's such an emotional time, and that's why I encourage you to make it as easy as possible for your heirs, because they're struggling with your passing to begin with, and so you don't want to add to their burden by getting them entangled in all kinds of things. Yeah.
I probably shouldn't say this, but it is now 9 years, and because of lawyers involved in my father-in-law's passing, because another son wanted that to happen instead of just letting us take care of it. It is, of course, all the probate. 9 years.
9.
Still things. I just got a note recently, an unclaimed resource of like $60,000. Unclaimed.
Wow.
Because these lawyers did not take it. Anyway, we're still waiting. It's all out of our hands because another brother wanted it to go through the lawyers instead of just.
Did I mention this evil word probate? Don't speak it. Don't let the state of Texas take your money. And the lawyers, yeah. Yeah, Cody?
Just real quick question. We have a will, both of us are on our house titles, okay? So let's say we were going home tonight and we kicked the bucket. Our daughter's not on the house title, but we have a will. Does she need to be on the house title to make things easier for her?
I would say the Ladybird form is what you need. That passes it on without her being on the title right now. So
Get it online.
you can get it online. Okay. Thanks, Tammy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I brought a copy of the time that you can print off
Oh, okay. Great.
offline, and it says in here that it supersedes the will.
Great. Supersedes the will. That's a good. So, and again, it's not expensive. It just it simplifies that process, because they don't necessarily need to be on that. So, okay. Okay, Tammy.
I just had one quick thing about, we had a relative that died in his state and it was a mess. And anyway, the lawyer gave us, Jose and I, wills to him, right? And he said, you do not have to get yours.
Yeah, speak up, Tammy.
You don't have to get it. If you have a relative that dies in his state, if they just wrote something down on a napkin and signed it, then they were good. It does not have to be.
With the date.
With the date, yes. I don't even know when that's in there.
It does.
Okay. But they verify the handwriting to make sure. Yeah.
But doesn't it matter the value of that, whatever it is that you're passing on? That's when I think the state gets involved, because they see the opportunity to make some money on you and or your family.
They told us that we just found a napkin that said, I'm leaving everything to so-and-so, and signed it.
You can't hear back here.
Okay.
I'm just saying, that if you found like a napkin where your relative had written, I'm leaving everything to, so-and-so, and signed it and dated it, I guess, then that's a good way.
Unless you blow your
Didn't
nose.
have to be notarized.
Another napkin.
Yeah, well,
That's what they want to date, and the notary would help. with
That's
that.
the danger of the codicil.
Yeah.
I slip that napkin in there and get somebody to sign it, they don't know what they're signing. And I write, I type in afterwards.
Yeah.
Very, very careful of that foolishness.
But you don't have to do that if you have a relative that didn't leave
Yeah.
anything. You have to go through all their stuff.
I
Piles
understand.
of boxes.
I'm just speaking from personal history.
Yeah. Well, it's true, Tammy. You can just do a handwritten thing. It's one of my favorite Texas movies is called Secondhand Lions. Anybody seen it? And remember at the end, you know, where the guys pass on, and their will was just a handwritten thing that said the kid gets it all. You know, and I don't know that that's legal, but I mean, people do cocktail napkin kind of will sometimes, and so. But again, you don't want it to get messed up in the courts or whatever.
I just wanted to, in my mind, I just don't know if it helps to clarify whether it's a napkin signed and dated or if it's a lawyer-written will that's notarized. Either one of those is going through probate. Just because you have a will, it's going through probate, right? Isn't that correct?
Yeah, will.
It's a lot worse.
Right, I'm just saying.
Probate, it depends on the value of the things in the will and whether or not, you know, the two names are on it. Yes?
The attorney, if they're with the will, will write it so it does not have to go through probate.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. They can tighten them so that there's no issue that would require it to go through.
Oh, I didn't know that.
There is a little thing that is not really probate, where a court has to say, you know, you have to appear in court and that is the executor, and that they will say, you are, yes, okay, we are stamping our approval on you, you're the executor. That's not probate, but in order for, especially if they live out, and only if the executor has to live in the state, or the state that it died, but we're talking about. So there are a couple things that it doesn't have to be probate, but yes.
Okay.
Hopefully the will is, you know, you're talking about limits of money. I don't think the court has to be involved as long as there's a will specifying exactly whatever that is. But the limit of money is on the minimum side. There are several ways to not have to write out, not have to go to probate. There's 2 or 3 different things you can do. And those have limits. Like if you have property over $75,000 or something like that, you can't do 1 or 2 of those things. Or if you have a complicated one, or if kids are fighting each other, you know, then it's gonna have to go.
Yeah.
Like that. So.
It does matter the amount of resources that are involved. So, you know, that, and again, it also may matter based on whether there's contention in the family. You know, if you got somebody who is trying to get it all, and one of the reasons I highly recommend that with personal effects that you specify things, because you can have 3 kids all saying, well, Mom wanted me to have that, and her diamond necklace or whatever it is, and that's not always true, but they're being greedy, you know. So the more specific you can be, the better on things like that. So, yeah. Suzanne?
Something I thought, I haven't done any of them, is there's certain books that are valuable, like my dad graduated from college 99 years ago, and I have a yearbook of his. So I'm gonna put a little green, or maybe not, just a colored dot on all the books that might have some, sentimental value or family heritage and things like that. Maybe that can help someone, because I have a lot of books. A lot of them can be given away, but the ones that are very special, and not just books, but maybe tchotchkes, different things like that. I'll put a little, I intend to put a little color sticker in it.
But you're gonna let them know what the colored sticker stands
Yes.
for, right?
Hopefully.
Put it in the binder. I like his deal, right? I like your deal.
Put it in the binder, yeah. Yeah. Okay, good.
My question is more related to trust. Like, do you think it's necessary to work through an attorney to write up a trust?
Yes, it is. trust requires an attorney. And so, yeah. Okay.
Scott, are you going to talk about how you said that it'd be good to go around and photograph things that you think are?
Yeah, I'll get to that. I want us to take a break about halfway through this time here and get a coffee that Monty has generously provided for us. And so, but let's go on here to some other issues here. This is a workshop, so I'm going to put you to work on something. Okay. I'm going to at least get you thinking about this. One of the most precious things that my wife's parents did was that they included in their safe deposit box a letter to each of their grandchildren. A precious letter expressing their faith, giving other meaningful expression, affirmations mostly. I'm a big believer in affirmation. I did a teaching here one time in one of our men's work breakfasts on a Saturday about the importance of affirmation, about Jesus being such a radical affirmer. And that is one of the gifts that you can give your grandchildren or your children, things that you have seen in them that you can write down and affirm. And so part of this workshop this morning, this is I'm going to give you about 10 minutes or so to think about it and pray about it. Jesus is here with you, so he will give us wisdom on these things. But what would you say to think of an error of yours or one of your kids, whatever, but what would you say in that letter? And so I want you to turn over one of these sheets of paper you have. I have extra pens up here if anybody needs a pen. But Charlotte needs a pen. Oh, okay.
A while back when I was reading the Bible, I came across scripture about leaving years branch.
Thank you.
And I felt convicted at that time to leave a certain percentage to each one of my grandchildren. Yes, how that scripture.
Yeah, leave a blessing. One of the things as I was praying about this workshop, I was thinking about all the times when, the patriarchs blessed their children. Joseph got blessed by Jacob, and that's what we can do in written form. From the grave, as it were, we can leave a blessing for our family members. We can affirm them in a special way. And so I want you to take a few minutes to think about that and write down some ideas. You don't have to complete this today on the back of a sheet. You should do it in something that's a little nicer, but think about what you would write to bless the next generation, your heirs. Okay, I told you that I had done this. This is what I call my end-of-life book. And so I hope that by sharing some of what's in here that you can learn from some of the things I've attained over the years, picked up from people. And it's just a simple binder. There's nothing fancy about it here, you see? But it has this pocket here.
Do you have a label on the outside or on the spine?
No, but my kids know exactly where this is. So yeah. Well, I'm afraid that if a burglar came into the house, that, and say important end-of-life documents or but then again, I live in Hideaway, so the security should keep all those guys out anyway. Right? These are my neighbors down here, by the way.
You can always label it comic book.
Yeah. Okay. But the first thing that I have on the inside of this thing is doesn't look great, but it says, this is called key codes. And this has how to get into my laptop, how to get into my phone, how to get into, all the PIN numbers, my social security number, driver's license number, all that important stuff. And that's stuff that your heirs will need to know.
Why did you decide not safety deposit box, the binder in a safety deposit box.
Well, I have a safe deposit box, but it wouldn't fit in there. And,
Also, what about a firebox for it?
you know, a firebox, that'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, you know,
It's so that we can network and feed off of each other.
Yeah.
Experience, and yeah.
And one thing that's in here, and I've shown my kids, is that right in this little pocket here is my safe deposit box key. Now I have another one, but it's just something that, you know, I want to make it easy for them when this time comes. And old dad will pass away someday. And so that's what they need to know. Okay,
Real quick, to go back to the password thing.
Yes.
When my sister passed away, she had
the password.
a handwritten list that they had to find, first of all. But then, one of the problems with that is that a lot of sites force you to change your password after X amount of time. Well, when you don't update on that on paper, well, then that becomes very difficult.
Exactly, yeah.
My brother-in-law's sister sat for almost 2 days in the house at a desk, making phone calls, trying to get into things.
Oh yeah, the password thing today is so important that somebody knows how to do it, and that's why I really recommend a password manager. It blesses me all the time because I'm constantly looking up a password that I wouldn't know. I don't use that account all that often, and so the second thing I have in here, we're going to go into a little bit later, but I have what's called an advance directive. Who knows what that is? All right, somebody tell me what it is. Darling?
A living will.
It's a living will. Yeah, that's another term for it. And what does a living will do for you?
Keep you out of probate.
No, it doesn't.
No?
No. Okay, tell me what it is.
It's the medical part, and it's what you want to happen in emergency medical. Now, let me stress this, y'all, from being a paramedic's wife for a very long time. It is hard to do it, okay? There's a lot of pieces to the puzzle for that paper. Does that make sense? The paper has to be updated. I don't know what the update is anymore. That paper, you're in that ambulance, they are doing life-saving measures, y'all, immediately, okay? So if you don't want it done, you have to have someone there that has the paper to hand to the medics.
Yeah, they're going to try and save your life, and
Right.
and that's their job.
Right.
So
And they're also going to be getting ready in the emergency room to be putting you on life-saving machines as fast as they possibly can because they're in life, not death, right? A side note, you make a lot more money when you're on life support in a hospital than them taking, the directive and then stopping everything and leaving, okay? There's a golden hour that you have when you go into a personal medical emergency. If things can be done within that golden hour, you have a 99% chance of recovering. You get 5 seconds more past that golden hour and things are going to start going downhill quickly, depending on your original health, depending on your age, and the condition that you're in when the paramedics get a hold of you,
Yeah.
okay? So I'm just saying, don't fill that out, put it up somewhere, and never look at it again. It needs more attention and activity than that, and then be aware that even all that, you may have to go to the hospital and make that decision on the machines and
yeah.
that kind
Well,
of
in this batch of papers that you got when you checked in here today is the advance directive that you can write out. I use the same form, and you write in what you want, and no special measures or something like that. It's simple enough in this form to do it. It should be witnessed and everything. But
one more thought.
Okay, one more thought.
This happened to me. I got a bill in the mail Kirby passed away in Shreveport, Louisiana, okay, on a job. And I got a bill from the volunteer fire department ambulance division. And so it was, I think $1,500, $1,800. Okay, if I don't know anything about medical, I would just immediately be paying that, right? Okay. When he died in the motel, okay, then they didn't have a medical ambulance, so fire came with an ambulance, blah, blah, blah. He was DOA. And so I'm thinking, wait a minute, who's gonna pay this $1,500, $1,800? They don't move, their ambulances move to the morgue. And they have coroners there in Louisiana, so they have a vehicle for this. So I called the first one because it looked scammy when it came through. It was just a copy off of the printer, and it looked scammy. And I thought, I'm not touching this. I'm gonna wait and see what happens. Then I got the official one with their address and all that kind of bit. Okay, this was interesting. They cut off Kirby's insurance from his company the day he died. Okay. And so that's why they were sending it to me, because they tried to file with the insurance and the insurance rejected it because the insurance was cut off, okay? So I'm calling them and I'm talking to this young man. Well, I start talking emergency medical lingo, and man, he starts backpedaling fast. You should not have gotten that bill, because I'm asking him, I said, and since when are you showing up on, you know, dead on arrival scenes? Are you picking up and taking to the morgue now? Is this an extra job that the ambulances are doing?
Yeah, they were scamming you, huh?
He's just started backpedaling. So be aware of what's going on. He wanted they wanted the insurance to pay that.
Yeah.
No, the insurance should not have been paying that. And then if I didn't know what I knew, I might pay it. They were never supposed to be involved at all, because the coroner came, put him in the coroner buggy, and took him to the morgue.
Yeah.
Yeah, so be aware.
Okay, good. Well, yeah, we're going to get into the advanced directive. Okay, go ahead.
This is a little thing just to be aware of, is when, and it's, I don't know if it's the right time to share it, but on your driver's license, if you've said that you are going to be a donor,
Speak up.
that counts as a legal thing. So just maybe let your children know if you've signed up to be a donor on your driver's license for organs, because it's quite a traumatic experience for the person to go through if they have to make decisions towards that. I know a lot of
Yeah, it is, you know, because it's in that hour. Your natural response is to try to keep them alive, you know, and even if they have a DNR kind of document. So again, this is an important thing in letting your family know what your wishes are. Yeah, Cody?
As being a prior medical first responder, and the 8 years, not just a mild 8 years of doing what I did in the military, I never once received a living will on somebody inside a house or inside a vehicle accident. These things normally transpire
At the hospital, don't
at
they?
the hospital.
Yeah.
We showed up, we've got them to the hospital, that's when the family shows up. And
Yeah.
if you have a spouse or a loved one that's honoring what you asked them to do, because some will honor it, some won't honor it, they should be able to say, okay, this is his living will. He doesn't want to be on any bypass or ventilation or anything like that. You're that EMT, medical emergency, you don't think about it at that point in time. You're not going to run back to your bedroom and go, hold on, let me get my living will.
Yeah.
That normally transpires
Exactly.
at the hospital, or if your loved one is in the hospital and they coded the hospital, that's what, because they're going to ask you at the hospital, do you have a living will? Do you have these things? And that's when you say, yes, I have them. You're not going to see it in the emergency medical.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you. That's true.
Yeah.
And there's another medical professional right there. Cindy.
My sister, who lived in New York at the time, was visiting my sister in Florida, and my sister from New York had a medical emergency. She had her DNR with her, but in Florida, they couldn't accept it because it was from New York. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Your visitors
Oh, yeah. Yeah. John?
Our mom had one when she went to the hospital.
if we could just make a change in this conversation for sake of the recording, if you want to speak, come stand up here so we can get it on the mic. Come, Jones.
Okay, I think we're going to let fewer questions now.
Even our mom, when she was in the hospital, she was unconscious, and he said, "You want us to pull the plug?" And I said, "Well, what did she want?" You know, because he had all her paperwork, and then she had it, a living will. She didn't want to be resuscitated. I said, "Well, then why are you?" And I didn't even know the terminology he was using. I said, "What's it mean?" Anyway, I said, "Then why are you asking me?" And he said, "Because we still have to ask the family." I said, "Oh, no, I'm not making that decision by myself." So I called my sister. And then we decided to go along with what Mom wanted. But, I mean, that kind of put me on the spot.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Cody? Come, Brad. Preach it, brother. This is a voice of experience coming up here, so. There you go, sir.
Guys, I'm going to try to make this as quickly and painless as possible. We talked briefly about the EMS side of it. Make sure your children know what you want, okay? Sit down with your kids, sit down with your loved ones, sit down and have this conversation with your kids so you know what to do with your kids. Sometimes we go before our children, and there is nothing worse than being in the hospital and having to make that decision and not knowing the will or the want of the people around you. And a lot of times it goes against everything we want to do. If Michelle were to go tomorrow, God prays that she doesn't, but I would want to know what her wishes were, and I would honor her wishes. Okay, I'm an old crusty military kind of guy. I like to keep it simple, stupid approach, you know. But she may not want that. She may want me to try to keep her alive, to keep her going. And that's a conversation that you need to sit down and have with your family in earnest. All the paperwork in the world, all the living wills, all these things are great. But if your loved ones do not know what you want, then it's just hard on them. It's hard on you. It's hard on the person on the bed. And it's a hard conversation to have, but it's reality because we just don't know when we're going to come or go. That's all I have.
And how we're going to go, you know, because those circumstances make a lot of difference in the way it all plays out. And one of the things I've seen, if you don't have an advance directive, then of course your family will make that decision, and sometimes they make rather costly ones. I know of a case where, you know, old mom didn't leave an advance directive, and so one of the daughters was back in New York or something, and so they waited a week for her. You know, she was on life support basically for a week. That's expensive, you know, for your family. You're sucking up resources that could be used elsewhere, but again, there are just lots of different circumstances, and so it's so good if you can be the one who determines that rather than having it fall to your kids at a time when they're already in crisis, you know. So, yeah. Okay, the next thing that's in my end of life book here is a contacts list. One of the worst things that can happen in the internet age is for your close friend to find out that you died on Facebook. Or Instagram or whatever, X. And so it is so good. And you know, you may presume that your kids know who to call, but they don't. You know, you have friends that are on this list. So I divided it into family. Who are the close family members who need to know? Who are my closest friends? I have a list of people that need a phone call and not to find out through some other means. And of course, I have some I've been a youth of the mission for 35 years, and so I have people in that frame, and others. Maybe you've been part of another church for a long time and you have friends there. Your pastor from that time may need to know. So you decide who goes on that list, but please make one so that your kids are not left in the dark about something like that. All right, and then I have the actual will here in the thing. Okay, and then this is the next section that we haven't talked about yet, but it's what I call special bequests. And we all have in our homes things that are meaningful to us. Some of them are valuable. Some of them are maybe don't have great financial value, but they are very meaningful family heirlooms. And again, some of you may have promised that to a particular kid or family member. You've said, oh, I want my brother to get this or that. Well, if you don't write it down in that time of crisis, what's going to happen? People may come and, the aunt and uncle or the kids may be fighting over it, something like that. It's just, you can eliminate a lot of problems by writing this down. And one of the things that I did for my kids here recently was, this is radical. I'm not expecting any of you to do this, but I went around with a camera in my home and I created a list called Tompkins Treasures. And now they're treasures to me. They may not be treasures to the kids, but I wanted the kids to know where this thing came from, why I valued it, where it is, and all that. And so it took me about 3 or 4 hours to put this together. And I bet all of you have 3 or 4 hours you could invest in that to create something like that. And so here's a great example. There's a little nondescript table. And it says, this side table was handmade and carved by Billy Wilson, your mom's Scottish grandfather. He was a tough steel worker in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but in his free time, he loved working with wood. It's in the living room. So, it's just a simple instruction like that, but I think all of us have stuff. And again, you can die and the kids can just dump all that stuff in the trash. They don't know where it came from often. Even if you've told them, they may not have thought about it. But they start thinking about these things when you die. And so help them out by doing something like this. It can be such a great blessing to them if you'll just leave some instructions. Now, this doesn't have the effect of being in the will, but I have, along with my will, I have a list of things that I've already promised to family members. Let me go back here and identify what those are. Okay. Yeah. So, there's some things I've told one of my daughters that this is hers. It had some special meaning to one rather than the other. And so I've just listed it out here. A few things for my brother, a few things for other people, like one of my greatest treasures. I'm a YWAMer, and so I have a very old beat up copy of Is That Really You, God? One of the very first student editions. And it is signed by Lauren Cunningham, Janice Rogers, and the Sherrills, John and Elizabeth Sherrill, who actually wrote the book. So it not only has value to me, I think in other YWAM circles, it would be a great treasure. It doesn't probably, if it went to a bookstore, somebody'd throw it away. But I don't want my kids to ever throw that away. And if they want to pass it on to somebody else in the mission, that's fine. But I bet you all have things like that are meaningful to you for some reason or other. So state it, right? Take the time to do something like this, and you'll be blessed. Your kids will be blessed that you did that. They may still throw it away, but you know, at least you've given them the information that they need. All right. I also have in this end-of-life book a whole thing of financial information. It has my bank account numbers. I have a couple of pension things that I'm on, various other financial things. And then, of course, life insurances are another thing. Sometimes you have life insurances you don't even know about, that you get $1,000 of life insurance for opening a bank account or something like that. I have a couple of those, but I also wanted to make sure that they had the information they need. Who's the agent that you go through? You know, on and on like that. And you know, it's, again, this is just a way that you can show love and care for your heirs. That they can find this out, but why do you want them to spend the next few weeks of their life searching for that stuff? Okay, this next part is one that not everyone will want to do, but I wanted to do it. I, of course, have had to help with a number of funeral services. I told you my wife and my parents and on. And so it's not illegal for you to leave instructions for your own funeral service. How would you like it to play out? Who would you like to officiate at the service? Who would you like to speak on your behalf? That kind of stuff. I mean, if you had 3 or 4 favorite hymns or choruses, you could designate that. And so, otherwise, somebody else is going to make that decision. Why not you? Have any of you done this already? Oh my. Oh, Tammy, you get a gold star. Well, there's always one. Wow. Well, it just, again, I don't see any harm in doing that. I'm not being too... Am I off target here, or is this something that would bless you? Well, we just don't think about that. We don't like to think about the end of our lives, but you know, this isn't a big deal. And I'm going to go even further than that. I have written out for my kids some stuff for if they want to use it for an obituary in a newspaper or a eulogy or whatever. Because again, they think they know all the details of Dad's life, but they don't, or they have forgotten them. And so, again, they can say whatever they want. I'm dead, you know, but I'd like to pass on the information that might be helpful to be included in a eulogy or obituary. And so I encourage you to do that. It's just a loving thing that you can do. Exactly.
Search for everything. You just say, I think this, that, boom, military. She's not up front. Get up front, darling.
Yeah.
Just repeat what she said for the mic.
Okay. Could you come up here, darling, and repeat that?
Yeah, you repeat it, so she doesn't waste time to go.
Oh.
We're not trying to talk about ourselves, hey, I was so great, but something simple for your kids. These were my years of military service. These were the years I was with Exxon. Something so simple, and this was my title. But it's not whatever, it's just making it easy for your kids.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, one of the things that's important in this day and age to put in your instructions is, do you want to be in a plot out here in Garden Valley somewhere, or do you want to be cremated? And sometimes there's, you know, if you don't leave instruction about that, the kids will do what they think is best. They may presume they know, but if you designate them. Uh-oh.
Okay, we went through this with Kirby. Yes, I knew he wanted to be cremated. Now, what are you going to do with the ashes? Are you going to spread them somewhere? Are you going to keep them in an urn?
Word two, if you do cremation, if you do it out of state, Herbie died out of state, he died in Louisiana, so everything had to be done in Louisiana. He didn't necessarily, cremation ashes, attend his own celebration of life because we could not get it done soon enough for them to be in the urn. Just things to think about. And so we are going to go down to South Texas, where he grew up, out on Mustang Island, and go there and do a ceremony for his family down there and the rest of us, and spread his ashes. So I'm just saying, there's even more planned to just saying cremation. Do you have an idea of where you would like your ashes spread? Some people, did y'all all know that some people do cremation and then do a plot and bury the ashes? Yeah. So what do they want to do as far as that? Do y'all want to hear what I want done with my ashes? None of you will be surprised. We have a 20-acre hay meadow in the back of our property, and I'm like, go out there on a windy day and let me fertilize the hay meadow for the next year. And they're like, oh my God. But that's me. That's me. And, you know, fertilize, cut that hay, and then I get to bless the farm and the animals with, I love being there and love living there and taking care of it. So
This is probably a good transition. My mother, you know, she died a year ago, and we did a prepayment. You can do a prepayment of all of those things.
Yep.
Okay, that's a good deal because she's still got an account, and she's part of that, and those decisions. And then another thing is that she wanted to be cremated and stuck in the ground beside Dad, because they already had a tombstone for both of them, and so we fulfilled all of that. Well, what about an urn? You go down to the cemetery or the mortuary or wherever you go, and ask, how much is that going to be?
$200 minimum, I would guess.
I would say more close to $400 or $500. I mean, depends on how they feel that day. Amazon. Yeah, I'm serious.
Yep.
They're as good as what you can buy there.
Doesn't matter what.
It doesn't matter anyway. And so, so we got one for Mom, you know, and we just stuck it back on the shelf until the time came. Well, last weekend I was up in Raleigh for my niece's husband's funeral. This thing was massive, 2.5 hours. And sitting right up there at the front was an urn, just like I got for Mom off of Amazon.
Amazon.
$60.
60 bucks. Well, did you know, I was shocked when I heard this, but you can, if you are a Costco member, that you can actually buy a casket from Costco. Unbelievable, but yeah, it's stuff like that. So
All right. One more thing on urns before we move on to more pleasant things. Our daughter works at a storage unit, Mission Storage. All right. Occasionally they do find urns that families have just abandoned. They don't pay the grandchildren, great-grandchildren, they don't care. All right. So realize if you're going to be cremated and you're going to go into an urn and you're going to think your family are going to pass that down and treasure that for generations. No. All right. All right. They end up in some storage unit somewhere that goes on auction, and somebody else ends up with your ashes.
Yeah.
All right. So keep that in mind.
Keep that in mind. Yeah. Yeah. Lots of different experiences, and okay. Let me. I was going to tell you, my wife Sandy wanted to be cremated. She wanted a new glorified body. She felt like that was the way she'd get it. I want to be buried out here in Garden Valley at the little cemetery, and so that's my wish. And but again, these are choices that you can make. Sometimes, like Cody is a military guy. You know, my brother is a military guy. He'll be buried at the National Cemetery up in Dallas, and so yeah, and Terry knows that, and so there are lots of different options here, and I just want to encourage you to, again, make your wishes known.
End of life preparations. My mom was pretty smart on this aspect. She had her body donated to science. Okay? When they were done with her, they cremated her. They sent me her ashes in a bag, Ziploc, mind you, had a little tag on it, had her personal belongings with it. My brother did the same thing, and it was very simple. And I can't remember the name of the organization that does it, but
It's free.
it's free, but it's 100% free. They come to the hospital, they pick up the body, they take the body, they perform whatever they're going to perform, and they only had Mom for a couple of days, and then they had her cremated, and then they sent me her ashes with the certificate and everything because it was transported across state lines from Arizona to Texas. But it was very simple, and it was very, 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 very cost effective. I'm of the mind, when I'm dead, it doesn't matter what happens to me because I'm not going to know. But think about things like that. That is just another way to save your kids a little money and to take care of things.
Yeah. I just, in preparation for this workshop, I contacted the local funeral homes here, and I thought, you know, these are country places out in Van. I contacted them and Caudill and here in Lindale and so forth, and my goodness, they charge you for everything for if you're doing a regular burial, and so again, there are lots of things you can do to of course reduce that cost. But one of the things is to make that choice for cremation. I know there's some people who just don't think that that's biblical, perhaps, but I haven't heard anything to that effect that I could.
The thing you didn't just repeat that he said was your body to science. Just give your body to science. Then you never have to see it.
Then you have to worry. Yeah, come on up, Regina. I see that hand. Come down here, sister.
That's no guarantee, just because I have given my body to science, but it says right on the paper for Medcure, MEDCURE. I mean, that's one place you can do it through, but there's no guarantee that they will take it. So you better have a backup plan, because if that's your only plan, they might say, no, it's yours, and you will have to deal with it at that point. So.
Okay. All right. Any questions there? Okay. Yeah. One of the other things I have at the back of this end of life book is here. I have a life insurance policy, not a big one, but I want to get. I want that to bless my heirs, and I have a couple other that are. I have life insurance paperwork in there too. Again, there are a lot of people who scatter this stuff through their house. My dear son-in-law, again, his mom was a hoarder, and so there was stuff everywhere in piles, insurance documents and birth certificates and all kinds of stuff that you need. So it also has information on like the mortgage on the house, taxes, on and on. And here's another little thing that I wanted to point out as part of the process. This is a death certificate. And you will need several of these if your loved one passes away. This is Sandy's death certificate. And this can be complicated sometimes because the circumstances of your loved one's passing may keep you from getting one of these right away. In her case, she died of kidney failure, and it's on the document here and everything. But sometimes people die in accidents, they die in suspicious circumstances, they die out of state, like Cody was talking about. And so that also affects how quickly you can get these things. But these are what I needed this to get. Sandy had life insurance, and so I needed this for that and for closing out accounts that she had, other things. So keep in mind, this is just a simple thing, and the if you're going through a funeral home, they can help you with this kind of stuff. But it's all available online if you'll just go looking for it, you know, the application. Yes, Denise.
Something you might want to do is pull your own credit report and go through and look at what is open, what's still an available account that you don't use it anymore, and it's just an open door for fraud or whatever. You can, you know, close things off if they're, you know, several years old, but you don't need that. And just simplify your footprint, you know.
Simplify the footprint. Okay. Let me get back to where. Make sure I don't have any other. Okay.
Question, Scott, you have a thing on here about power of attorney. Well, it's just a question. Do you still need a power of attorney if you have an executor in your will?
Darlene has an answer to that. We were going to get to it, but now we're going to get to it right away.
Can you repeat the question, please, before you?
Yes.
Yeah, repeat.
Let me clarify something really, really important. We keep talking about two different things. Things that need to happen before death, things that happen after death. This is real important, this whole idea of power of attorney. It is for pre-death. The second you die, any power of attorney is completely a piece of trash. Okay? So, a power of attorney can either be for temporary time, 2 weeks while I'm in California, an event, close on my house next Saturday for me. It can be temporary. That's just a power of attorney. You do it all the time for different events. Durable power of attorney is something you give to someone you trust. And the minute you are incapacitated, they take over as you. Their signature becomes yours. So you don't want to give that to just anybody. You don't actually want to sign that durable power of attorney until you are confident that that person is going to act on your behalf well. You could be in a car wreck, you know, in a coma, anything, instantly. That's called a durable power of attorney. All that needs to be done before you die, like right this second, because you don't know what's going to happen, but it's obsolete and totally irrelevant once you die. That's all the power of attorney things.
Very good. Any questions about that? You understand what she was just told you? I have a section I was going to speak on it, but she's covered it pretty well. And you understand that an advance directive is a living will, medical power of attorney. Again, it's just up to the point that you die. And at that point, the state information that your will and all that takes precedent. So, okay. I told you I wasn't expecting this many people, but I have a book I want to pass out to you, a little workbook. I have a friend out in California who was, her dad was one of the elders of our church out there, and great man, and he died unexpectedly, and it just caused this huge crisis in her family. And so after that was all said and done, she wrote this book called The Next 48 Hours. And it's packed full of her own personal journey, but it's all these things that get set in motion when you have a death in the family. What will you need to do? How? And again, some of these may not apply to you, but it's a very useful book. And I was shocked. She was telling me one time that after about a year after she had written it, she got contacted by the National Guard out in California where she was. They wanted to pass these out to make sure the families had these because they were going off to Iraq and Afghanistan and so forth, and they wanted to make sure the families were equipped with useful information about such things. And so anyway, so I'm going to pass out some of these. I have an assistant here. Cody, are you my assistant? All right. one only for couples, and if you signed up late, I'll see if I can get some more. So, yeah, they're still in a plastic binder there. So,
Scott,
yeah,
can you explain the 18 hours in the title?
the next 48 hours.
The next 48 hours in that title, that's an amazing story.
Yeah, it's right in the introduction, but it's a, you know, the circumstances can change sometimes. You know, if you die in a hospital, one thing happens. If you die at home, another thing happens. If you're in a car accident, or you know, it just gives you some basics information about all kinds of things that may be useful to you. So anyway, if you would like one of these and you didn't get one today, please let me know, and I'll see if I can get some more. Lori gave these to me, and I was blessed by them, so I want to make sure that you get blessed as well. It's her personal story, but it has a lot of very useful information for all of us. Oh, take whatever time you need.
Hey, just as I've been thinking through a lot of what Scott said and all, one of the couple of events that have affected us are the emotions of a whole family involved in a death. And a lot of what Scott said, and he's already said some of this, it's advisable to incorporate your family, thinking of them and not just yourself. I know it's so easy to think, well, I don't care what happens to my body, but what about your kids? Do they care? And maybe it would be worth going aside from what you think is wise financial planning or something, if it really would matter to them. You know, I mean, at least talk it through with them. And I also think it's easy to think of, well, I'm just dead and gone, I'm in heaven. But there's a lot of earthly things that are worth considering regarding death. And I think of back in the Old Testament and all, there's so much talk about remembering and symbols of remembrance. And I even think of the importance of location regarding where ashes are spread or buried, or a tombstone is, or something like that. Because for those who are left behind, sometimes that place is really important to them, and there's feelings involved in it. But those are considerations that it's easy just to dismiss. Or we can be materialists and overemphasize material and think of our belongings and hanging on to them for people who don't want them. You know, one of Carol's best friends from college, she was in a couple bedroom house, but her parents willed her all of the antique furniture that was passed down for at least one generation. It was very valuable at the time, but I visited the house out in California one time, and half the apartment was literally just packed like a warehouse with furniture that they couldn't use. But Mom had willed it to me. You know, there's so much personal emotion attached to the furniture, but it was useless. And after, I don't know what it was, 10 years, she finally got rid of it. And she was free of it. But including your family and decision making and all that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I have a funny story from Sandy's parents. They were both cremated, and they wanted to have their ashes scattered at this place called Cayucas on the Central Coast in California, because that was their favorite vacation place with the grandkids, and they loved it. And so they wanted their ashes scattered in the ocean there. Well, we tried to do the righteous thing and find out whether it was legal to scatter the ashes in the ocean there in California. And, you know, we were having a hard time finding out whether it was legal. And in the end, finally, Sandy got someone on the phone who said, okay, this is one of those cases where it's don't ask, don't tell. Don't tell. And so go ahead. You know, she didn't say it was legal, but just, okay. So we took the ashes, and one morning in the misty seacoast there, we scattered the ashes. And we thought, oh, we had this vision of them going out to sea. But Sandy's parents were always kind of difficult people in their ways. And so they clumped up and they wouldn't wash out to sea. So stuff happens, you know. But they're somewhere out there in the Pacific right now. Cody, did you have something you wanted to share? Okay, just stretching, okay. Yeah, so, yeah, Herb, come on up.
I know that face.
Just a thought with the generation that most of us are in, our parents, and we're descendants of generational antiques. One challenge with that is our children, or the generation after that, could care less about generational antiques. I don't know if you've experienced that or not. So I said, okay, my mother had a phenomenal collection of cut glass. Very nice, it's very pretty. It ought to be worth a whole lot. Where can I get rid of this? So I researched, I go on eBay, there's a pile of it on eBay. You know one of the problems is? There's no buyers.
Yeah.
Nobody wants it. So that again is just an area of thought. You have all these generational antiques. Where do you put them, but then what do you do?
Yeah, glassware is one of the main things. The older generation loved having pretty tea sets and so forth, and the kids could care less. One of the other things I wanted to bring up here, some people have had burial insurance for a long time. If any of you had experience with that, anyone have burial insurance?
My parents both did.
Okay. I don't know. I know they will sell it to you through the local funeral homes here, but I went out, I looked at the Mutual of Omaha website, and at my age, it was like $63 a month. Of course, it's much cheaper if you buy it at a young age, but I don't know, that might be a blessing to your heirs, but if you have sufficient financial means to bury yourself, that's just one of the things I wanted to throw out as an option for you. So, okay. Do you see anything in that 48 Hours book that prompts a question or anything there?
Scott.
Yes.
Along with that burial, you can also just pay for cremation or something, because that's what we have. We just paid $3,000. I think people pay less, but then it's done, and they'll come get your body wherever you are around the world, and and then your cremation's all paid for. And you don't, because with the burials, you don't know how much because you keep paying that for the rest of your life. This one, you pay your $3,000, you're done. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, that makes good sense. I know with Sandy's, hers was, I think, it was less than $1,000 for the cremation, and but of course the urn on top of that, that was another $300 or so. Yeah, Terry?
We were just talking there, 800, we paid it 1,200 for Mom. But another thing that comes up with us, we travel a lot, missionaries.
Mm-hmm.
There's insurance to bring the body home. You can pay it in advance, because that's a real problem if you're overseas someplace when you die. And it can be very expensive and very complicated to get the remains home. So we did find insurance with the same insurance company that we did the prepay with, and I'll try to get that name of that company. And so when Nina and I, we were going overseas together, okay, just recently, and so I contacted them, and I think now it's like $600. Well, that's pretty cheap if you need it, you know, but it's just a one-time thing. I mean, no, it's as long as you're living, you can get the bodies back home for that amount.
Just a question. I came here about a year ago from California and had the organ donor card. My understanding was that they would take what they wanted and then they would cremate me and send the ashes where I told them to go, and it was free. So I checked the organ donor card for Texas, but I can't find anybody who tells me what happens after. Anybody know? I've asked policemen.
They'll come and get it and cremate you, send your name where you want.
Same in Texas, she said.
All right, so somebody has to tell the hospital the state of Texas is going to take care of it after I die?
Mm.
Okay, if you hear anything, let Scott know.
Yeah, one of the things I'm hoping will happen as a result of this workshop is that we'll share some resources. So you've received, probably 90% of you have received an email from me with the sample will in it. But if you have additional resources, a website that's been particularly helpful, if you get that information to me, then I can share it with the whole group. We'll get a little circle going, and you know, the idea is we want to help one another get through this difficult time of life in a way that's you know, the best it can be. You know, so all right, yeah. I want to go back to the living will, medical power of attorney. You'll see in the packet that you got at the door there that have any of you started working on that? I mean, I'd like you to leave this place with some language if you want this. I mean, I'm not pressing this on you, but if you want the kids to decide what happens when you're in an emergency, that's fine. But I don't recommend that, but I'd like you to each have thought about that for a few minutes. So we're going to, as part of our workshop here, we're going to take another 5-10 minutes and we're going to look at that and maybe write down what it is. Do you want a DNR? Do you want to have, you know, there are lots of things like sometimes people will say, just give me, you know, the normal water and to keep me hydrated and so forth. They will have specifics about how they want to do that. So anyone have an idea of how that could be worded more generally? Okay.
What word?
Well, this is not the medical power of attorney. This is the one about your wishes to the medical thing. Cody, have you had? Is it all pretty standard, the things that you've seen?
It is, and I'm not 100% up to date on this, but most of your hospitals.
Yeah, come on up.
That's advanced directive, is that what you're?
Advanced Directive Living Will, that's what I'm talking about. And you should each have one of those in the packet that you received here. Yes, you want? Be next.
When you go to the hospital and you're laid up in the hospital for 4 or 5 days, and I speak from experience because I've been laid up, unfortunately, more than I wanted to maybe in the hospital. They'll come to you and say, do you have a living will, do you have an advanced directive? If you say no, they will say, do you want to get one? Do you want to do one? You say yes, and then a social worker or somebody will come by with the paperwork, and then you can fill it out. But it's very self-explanatory. It's going to ask the question, you're going to answer the question. It's not rocket science. The biggest thing, and I'll go back to this just like I did before, if you're going to do an advanced directive, a living will or something like that, make sure the people around you know your wishes.
Yes.
Because you can sure hurt. You're dead and gone, and it don't really matter how many feelings you hurt, in my opinion. Because I'm not going to be there to deal with it. But thinking about my kids, I don't want them to have to all of a sudden get this shocker that dad decided he didn't want to be resuscitated. So make sure when you do your living will or your advanced directives that you allow your family to have input so they know what's going on with you, because it can sure, I've seen that happen. I've seen where people have pulled this stuff out and not looked at it, and some wife's flipping out because her husband has said, I don't want to live. And she thought that she was going to do everything she could to keep him alive. So make sure your family knows what's going on. But the hospitals can help you with all of that. They'll ask you, do you need this? Do you want this? Do you have this? If you don't, do you want it? And I think the last time that me and Michelle were in the hospital with me, we sat down and we filled that mess out finally. And that way we have it there. It's a peace of mind. And our kids know what we want. And that's, once again, that's the biggest thing. Let your family know what you want.
Cody.
Sir.
Before you walk back there and then have to walk back up. Okay, you go into the hospital.
Yes, sir.
And you do this.
Yes, sir.
Everything goes well, you're discharged, you go home.
Yes, sir.
A month later, you have to go back to the hospital.
You still have a copy of it?
Is it still in force?
Yes.
At the hospital, or
Yes.
do you have to resubmit?
After a period of time, you'll have to resubmit. I don't know that length of time, but you will have to resubmit after a period of time. Michelle has ours wrote down. She has it in a file.
Sure.
That way,
It's always there.
it's always there.
Do you know if they're generic or?
They are very generic. They're very. It's a simple form, and I wish I had ours with us, but I don't. And I, Patrick Cody Bennett, do not wish for any further yada 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 yada. It's very, very generic, and it's that KISS approach again. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, in mine here, it has a list of things that you can check off, and you can put your initials on it, and that says that that's your directive there. And then at the back, it has the one I gave you, it has some lines, and mine says, continue intravenous fluids, but not artificial nutrition or antibiotics. If I have been diagnosed as terminally ill and have a crisis, do not resuscitate. Simple language. Very specific about what it is I want and don't want. Uh-oh. You got to come fast, Suzanne.
Oh, sorry. If there
She's creepy.
is a medical power of attorney, that just assigns a person to make those decisions for you. And that's why you're alive. If you're just doing an advance, a directive, or this living will, or something where you're information to the physicians, it's that second thing he gave us. You're just saying what you would want it to be. Those things are notarized and signed, and those are legal documents, and you don't have to keep redoing those. But when you go into the hospital, there's like a social worker that will ask you a bunch of questions, and there's some forms you fill out. Those are not permanent. Those are for every event. You go to the hospital that time, those work for that hospital event. You come back 3 days later, those do not work for that one. Do you understand that? Those are not notarized and not legal things that go beyond that event of being in the hospital at that moment. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can the hospitals keep something in their records?
That was something else I was about to say. Like with my mom that was living with me with Alzheimer's, and I had power of attorney and all that stuff. When I went to the doctor, they asked me, I didn't even have to just say, here, they wanted a copy of her will, the medical power of attorney, all of that stuff, her advance directive, they wanted all of that. So, and her out-of-hospital DNR, something else we can talk about. DNR means do not resuscitate me if I go out. But if I'm in my house and I go down and ER, these ambulance guys come, unless you hand them that paper that says, here's her signature, they have to, by law, resuscitate, go through all those.
Yeah, they're going to get you to the hospital.
But if you hand them that and they're like, then they're supposed to, but that doesn't always happen. You can ask him if Cody, or would you be willing to not, if you're sitting there looking at a piece of paper?
If somebody handed me a medical DNR at the house, I would honor that
Okay.
by all means.
Right.
But in all my years of volunteer firefighting and my years as a medic running ambulances and life
Didn't happen. Right.
I've never seen one.
But
Now,
just
that doesn't mean it doesn't happen, but I've never
right.
seen it.
In Texas, I'm only talking Texas, that's all I know. There are two kinds. There is an in-hospital DNR and that there's an out-of-hospital. And it's very specific. Out of hospital DNR, that you carry that with you on your body or whatever in your house. That is, and it is a very specific form with a front and a back. It has to be signed by a doctor, and I mean, it's complicated, but you can get it done. There is an in-hospital DNR, and it's different, but it is a one-time thing, but you may have to, I'm not even sure exactly how that works, but it is in the hospital when you get there, so, I mean, I don't know, you have to ask, can I have a DNR for my husband in hospital? Because I know I'm holding the out-of-hospital one, can we get the in-hospital? I've never had that done, I've never been in that case, but there are two different kinds.
Okay.
Sorry for you, Lynn.
Yeah, come on in, Suzanne.
Once or twice a year when I go for a routine checkup with my doctor, and it's Dr. Ellis, and she's part of the Christus Mother Francis, and they always ask me, like, do you have this and that, and they ask if I have the advanced directive, and I've been procrastinating, I admit, and now I'm motivated from this, but that will go into the records, and then once it's in Dr. Ellis's records, for example, yesterday I was in a mild car accident, and they did take me to the hospital, and they said, do you want to go to, which hospital do you want to go to? I said, well, take me to Christus, because that's where my doctor is. And they have everything in the computer. So if I have the DNR, I will do that soon, or the advanced directive, then they'll just bring it up there. Thankfully, it wasn't bad, but that's, yes. Hear what you have to say.
And she's right. Usually, they will ask for it, and if they don't, bring it with you to the doctor. And they put it in their computer. They will scan it in and out of all of those forms, so that if you're somewhere else, and it's like here, Christus or whatever, when I would go, they would pull up and say, yes, I see there's this, I see the living will, I see the directive, it's all there. So if you do it one time, go to them, let them make a copy, they then have your advanced directives, medical power of attorney, it's all there, they'll have it in their files. You don't have to carry that around.
Okay, your turn, finally.
Yeah. I would just say that it's important to have the advanced directive. Like Kent and I, we got the forms for both the advanced directive and medical power of attorney from Christus. And we did the medical power of attorney, even I gave copies to our kids in California. But like Kent and I, we're the first for each other, and the kids are backup. But if we were both killed in a car accident, our kids in California, now what was it Mom said she wanted, And so I'm thinking, listening to this, it's really important to also have the advanced directive, because then it takes the burden off of your loved ones, where they don't have to make decisions and, well, I think we should do this,
Yeah.
Just have it all there.
Yeah, that's right. I'm curious, how many of you, okay, go ahead.
I just want to balance that with something I heard, and so I'm making my decision, and you can make yours, but I would just say compare the advanced directive to the physician in your family with the medical power of attorney as designated your healthcare proxy. And the reason I'm saying it, because in nursing school they explained the two of them, and one, the medical the advanced directive kind of protects the medical professionals, and there's so many varieties of what could happen, and the healthcare proxy has its advantage of protecting you and your family and what's happening at the time. So anyway, I kind of like that one, but just know, do you have someone that feels like, they could make the decisions that you've talked about? Because there's going to be so many variables that could happen. And do you really trust your doctor or the healthcare community right now of saying, oh yeah, no, we do this. So anyway, protect your own decision.
Sure. Okay, yeah. In the packet of stuff I gave you at the entrance, there is some a page that describes the difference between the medical power of attorney and the advanced directive living will. And so read through that. There's tons of stuff out on the internet about this, and so make a wise decision about what is best for you and so forth. So all of our circumstances are different, and so.
Keep it simple. It can sound so complicated. She's describing medical power of attorney and the directive to physicians. That's two different things. But you don't have to have both. Medical power of attorney simply assigns legally a person who can make all those decisions if you are incapacitated.
Yeah.
This directive to physicians can literally say things like only food and water or keep me alive. It can describe those things for the people to know. That's the difference there, right? Is that right, baby?
Yeah.
You think? Yeah.
Why do I have to have permission to die?
Don't you know the court cases of the lady on the family fighting? It's out there. You have to have it, yes.
Yeah, it's just safeguards. I'm curious, how many of you have an advanced directive? Okay. How many have a medical power of attorney? Okay. Well, not many. I'm actually surprised by that, but I encourage you to choose one or the other of these and do it. I think it will be, or both, yeah, you can do both. And so, yeah, it's for your benefit, you know, that your wishes get taken care of. And yeah, Carol?
Which one do you have to have a lawyer help you with?
Neither. You just need the form. Yeah. Yeah, get it notarized. That always makes it more legal. Yeah.
When Wayne decided in the hospital that he was done and he did not want any extra treatment, the doctors, he was still in the ICU for surgery, and they wanted to do this and that, and you know, if he had not been so stern about, no, I'm ready to go, then they would have started all these treatments. And in less than 48 hours, Wayne passed. Now, the doctors were wanting to do all this stuff, but Wayne, I think in his heart of hearts, knew that it was his time, and his family agreed to it. Less than 40 hours. When someone goes on hospice, it could be weeks, but it was less than 48 hours when he passed. So that really proved to us beyond a shadow of doubt that the Lord was ready to take him home at that time.
Yeah, my experience was similar. I had such respect for the people at Hospice of East Texas. They are just so loving, so great in the way they cared for Sandy. And we had, in her case, she had a problem that was, he was going in for surgery for her. She had dialysis and the fluid was going down her legs and bursting and getting infected. It was just a mess. And we went for surgery and conference with the surgeon beforehand. And we said, is this going to fix this? And he says, no, it's just a stopgap. And at that point, she knew, she just sensed that this was her time. And so she asked to be taken home. And those last few days that she had at home before she died were just so precious to us. It gave us the time that a lot of people don't have with their family to come in and say their goodbyes and pray. We had worship. People brought guitars in, and we just expressed thanks for all the Lord's goodness in her life. And so I am just so grateful for that, so grateful for the people of East Texas, the hospice people there. They're fantastic, and I just don't be afraid to pursue this. You know, most of us don't like to talk about it, but it's just something that's needful at this stage of our lives, and I want you to do it in a way so that again, you bless your family and don't make a mess for them. And any questions on anything we haven't covered? This is a huge subject, of course, a lot of complications, and so I'm not necessarily going to have the answer, but amongst us, yeah, you want to come up and...
So this is a question for all these experts out here. I'm feeling like if you have given power of attorney to someone you love, but you also have a directive, what's the words, directive? Advanced directive. What if there's a clash between what maybe a daughter that has the power of attorney wants and what your advanced directive wants?
Anyone have an answer for that right off?
They're gonna know about the person's pet is alive and cognitive and making those decisions for you, and that.
So the power of attorney trumps the other one, huh? Okay, that's good to know. Okay, you want to come up?
I'm doing like he did. This is a question I have heard and have even read it on the internet that in Texas you can get buried on your own property.
If you have 10 acres or more.
Or if you ask.
Well, the limit I heard was you have to be buried at least 200 feet away from any home. Okay, and the other part of the question is, if this happens, that property, I mean, if you have a family cemetery on your property, they can't take it for taxes. And I'm just curious if anybody knows anything about that.
That's an interesting question. Where are the attorneys in this group here today?
Yeah, we wouldn't need this part.
Oh, my. Do you have the answer?
No.
I see that hand. Come on, David.
No, I just have another comment. Was that I just want to exhort us, mostly for myself. It can be overwhelming, right? There's a lot we covered, like passwords, and for me, the biggest one was the hoarding, too much junk. I don't want to leave a burden to my family. I have a big task ahead of me. I have a big task to clean up stuff out of my life, and this isn't just to leave things beyond. This is my life. I need to take care of now. We're talking about organizing things, and there's people out here afraid of their computer. They don't want to organize their passwords. They don't want to use a password manager. They don't want to think about But I just filled out this one form right now and have Keith and Denise sign it for me. So I got that done. So the exhortation is just do what you can. Because it can be overwhelming. So, and that's what I need to tell myself, especially with my stuffs. So,
I think that's great, David, because we have lots of witnesses here today. So get these forms signed and have your neighbor at the table witness your advance directive. Come on up.
This is close to my heart, but for you that have pets out there, you don't know if your family member is going to want to take on those pets. You may be assuming. So if you have a pet that's giving you love, make sure you have some kind of plan written down to your family and think through who may be good homeowners. And also for me, who I only have my doggy daughter and no family, I'm making sure that she gets a portion of money to take care of her, whoever takes her, if they need a fence, for her medical, for her food. So it's not a burden. If someone wants to love her and take her, it's not about the money, but I don't want them to have the hardship and have to worry about her. And that gives me peace knowing that I'm going to list a few people that may be interested. If not, just tell my executor, it's up to you to select the person that will love her, and then you tell them about what comes with her.
Oh, that's a great addition to this. I would never have thought about that, but most of us have pets that we love, and we want them taken care of. So, Suzanne?
This is a question about cemeteries.
Because Scott, you mentioned that, you said a Garden Valley cemetery somewhere. So I'm curious, I know, for example, Dave Wilkerson and other people are buried in the Lindale public, yeah. And then Keith Green is in a Baptist church?
No, he's in Garden Valley.
Garden Valley, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, Garden Valley Church there has
What's the official name?
Garden Valley Baptist, I believe.
Garden Valley Baptist, okay.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to just pose a question. Some of you have been in the eldership. If maybe CCF, I mean, we have a lot of land here. If anyone's ever talked about maybe making a cemetery for the church,
I spoke to what was the leader of JAMA?
Dr. Kim?
I spoke to Dr. Kim, but I said, I have a vision to put a cemetery up here. What do you think about that? Yeah, this is before he died, of course. But
he's buried
He was a very diplomatic guy, but he was open to it. I don't know if he was just.
Well, he is buried at Garden Valley Baptist Church at the
But
cemetery.
they have so much land at JAMA on a hill.
Yeah.
If anyone's ever been to Forest Lawn in California, Christian vision for apparently long ago cemeteries were very dreary, and they wanted a place where people could look forward to heaven, and so they had this big art of the Last Supper. I would love to see a cemetery up in JAMA. If somebody's got some money and a vision. Talk to them then.
Well, we also have the Dover Cemetery, which is right just down the road, a few hundred yards. Yeah, so.
That one across from Mount Sylvan on 1990, it's on 110, I guess. 110. They are just expanding that one. And I guess it's inexpensive if you need a plot.
That's good to know.
Yeah, part of the reason I love the one at Garden Valley is that it goes back to the mid 1800s, and so you have lots of history there, and of course there's a whole YWAM section there that and mercy ships and so forth. So, yeah, Sue.
This is just a quick FYI that for anyone that wants to pay for an annual ambulance service, at least with Christus, it's $60 any time of the year. If we do it during the open enrollment, which I think starts in October, it goes from January 1st to the end of the year, and it covers your whole family. And when Herb needed the ambulance service for his broken elbow in January, it's $300 at least for a one-time deal. This covers your whole family as well as yourself.
One of the things I would encourage you to do is to hold one another accountable to get these things done. We all come to a workshop like this and we're full of enthusiasm and we get new information and we're ready to go, and then life happens and it goes on the back shelf, and I'm freely confessing today that happened to me. I need to update my will since my wife passed away 2 years ago. Well, it hasn't happened yet, but you're free to ask me at church or wherever that, have you taken care of that yet?
Can you send us an email in 6 months and ask us?
I can do that. And but I won't shame any of you because you haven't done your will yet or haven't done a directive or anything. Charlotte?
Well, just before you spend money to buy a policy, I'm not downing that, but Wade and I both had to use the ambulance several times, but between our Medicare and our other policy, we've never had to pay for it. It's supplemental. So
It's a supplement, yeah, it depends on your age and your circumstances, yeah. All right. Any other things we haven't covered that are burning question in your mind? Come on. Larry, come on up here.
I was talking with the Hickeys, and they said that they'd gone to a lawyer to do their wills. And they said that their lawyer suggested that you have 3 executors rather than just one, that you have options, because you never know what's going to happen to the people in your life. But how do you choose your executors?
Okay, who has an answer for that question? trust is a key factor, wouldn't you say? Yeah, trust is important. I had, of course, Sandy is my executor of my will, but then she upped and passed away on me, and so now it fell to my two daughters. But each of us have a different answer for that question. It's who you trust, who you think can carry, who will carry out your wishes. And I'm so glad that my brother decided to do a trust, first of all, because he has the resources to make that a real wise choice. But he has three daughters who, they all get along with one another, but I can just anticipate, because of the amount of money that's involved, that there would be a battle going on over that. So doing a trust eliminates that. They can't squabble. It's done. So
I wonder if you could make any comments on the wisdom of where your money goes. Should it be equally divided between kids, or is it wrong to give all of your money to the church, or whatever?
Well, one of the things, I haven't spoken about this yet, but in my situation, of course, I was giving the estate to my wife when my passing and so forth, and now that she's gone, the secondary language pops into effect, and that's where it's divided between the two kids. And I also left a small share for each of my grandchildren. I have 3 grandchildren, and I thought that was a nice thing to do. And I had a provision in there that they would get it only after they reached, I think, the age of 21 or something like that. So you can set it up however you want. The other thing, and I didn't tell Daniel I was going to do this, but I am a strong believer in tithing. And I tithe in my normal giving, but I also have included a tithe in the will here. And so because I have spent so many years in Youth with a Mission, I have 5% going to that ministry where I served so many years, and another 5% going to this church. And so I think Daniel and probably others would be very pleased if you included them in your will, because obviously you love this place and its people and want to see it go on, and that's a way you could be a blessing. And again, also, I am so grateful for the wonderful openness to do something like this here. This is, I hope you realize what an extraordinary church family this is. Am I right? It really is. We are so blessed. It's a different church than others I've encountered here in East Texas, because we have, of course, the parachurch ministries in the area that are involved, but we have lots of local people who just love the Lord and want to be a part of something that's vibrant, dynamic, and this church is it. And so this is a way that you can keep that thriving, is to include the church in your will in a tithing kind of way. Or you may have some other ministry. Denise?
I know of a situation where a man with no heirs, no children, left his house to a church, and then the HOA that he was in stepped in and said, you can't, like the church wanted the house, and the HOA said the church can't use that property. And anyway, it became a big mess for the executor to deal with, and the executor was out of state. And so just make sure all of your, dots on the I's and, crossing the T's, and to know what your situation is and exactly how it should work.
Yeah.
That it's all legal.
Yeah. And I don't know the answer to all those. And of course, if you all, after being so inspired by this workshop, you want to, I'll give you the spelling of my name for the bequests in the will, No. Well, we're finishing a little earlier than I anticipated, but again, I want you to make sure that get somebody to witness for you and sign that advance directive, particularly, or the medical power of attorney. We can do it right here. So, anyway, yeah. Any other last questions? I'm going to wrap this up here pretty soon.
Yes,
Okay.
You made this so clear and confusing.
That you refuse to die. Yeah. Okay.
So, one thing I want to just add, you talked around it a lot, but I worked for Social Security for 15 years and retired last year. If you have questions, I can't probably answer most of them because their laws are changing, but if you need help on any of it, call the Tyler Social Security office at 8, I'll give you the number if you want it, and then the national one too. The local Tyler Social Security 800 number is 877-319-5707. The national number, which you wait forever and you have them call you back, but 1-800-772-1213.
Say that again. In your bill.
The national one's 800-772-1213, and that goes to Maryland, our national office. The local one, Tyler, is 877-319-5707. Okay? You can ask me whatever you want. I do remember some things, but a lot of that's changing. The best thing is, they're going to get benefits, call Social Security, make an appointment, come in and see them. They don't do many walk-ins anymore, okay?
Okay.
And excuse me, I do have a question. Does Social Security give the person, the family, some money toward the burial?
Yep.
Yeah, but it's only a couple $100, isn't it?
Yeah, in the 80s they started that. It's $255, and they've never increased it. And of course, there's talk it may be the Social Security may be going bankrupt too. So no, they probably won't be increasing that. But that's paid to the spouse, or if there's no spouse, then possibly the family members.
Yeah, it's not much, but every bit helps, and it is what it is. Okay, with no other questions, I'm going to pray for you. How's that? Okay. Well, Lord, we love you. We bless your name. We thank you that we can come together in this way as iron sharpening iron to help one another in this journey, because all of us are going to pass from this life at one time and be united with you in eternity. And I think all of us present here are going to have things that we leave behind. And we need wisdom, Lord. We need your counsel on how to do that, how to be wise, how to bless rather than leave a mess for those who follow us. And so would you impart that to each one who's come here today, that we're here to learn, and we want to learn from you, Lord, most of all. We ask you to speak to us through your Holy Spirit in powerful ways, so that when we're making these choices and writing things down, we do so with your heart and right at the middle of that, Lord. We want to do what pleases you. And so move among us, do that, Lord. Help us to make this process, Lord, which is already painful enough for those who follow us, to experience blessing. And we thank you for your gift of our Lord Jesus Christ to us, who has purchased us so that we can be with you in eternity. And let us continue to walk in your ways, Lord, and may this be a part of that. And we'll give you all the praise and the glory, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.